everybody. This is Derek from Eternal Paranormal. This summer, I've got an all-new series out called The Ghostly Encounters, where I conduct one-on-one interviews with different people talking about their paranormal experiences. So if you want to go out on an adventure with me, let's just go see what they got to say. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is another episode of Ghostly Encounters featured by Eternal Paranormal. And today we have Alicia joining us.
What's
How
up?
are you, Alicia? So today you're bringing in a friend of yours. And tell us a little bit kind of about her, where she's from.
Her name is Holly, and met her via Facebook, and she is out of West Virginia as of now.
Okay. Okay, so without further ado, everybody, let's introduce to you guys Holly.
Hey guys,
Hey, Holly, how's it going?
it's going good. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So Alicia tells me that you guys got a bunch of that you've had like experiences with the paranormal, and so
Yeah.
I'll just let you take over and kind of tell us about what you've been experiencing.
Well, whenever I was 15, I got pregnant, so my dad bought this house for me. And we lived in it for 2 days, and I wound up going into labor early. And whenever I got back, which was about a week later, I don't know, I had this sense that there was like a 30-year-old male, and he was protective over me. And I'll try to make this one a short, like cut it down, but I've always felt like, okay, he's older, he's in his 30s, and it just stuck with me. Well, I had this girl come over one day, and I really didn't know her, just met her, and she brought up something about a ghost or a spirit in my house, and I said, well, actually, I've always joked around that there was a male that was in his 30s that was protective over me, and she's like, honey, I think you're right. She's like, I think you got a portal in your attic. And I was like, maybe. My house is one of the oldest houses off of the road. And this is in Georgia. This is like probably 2015-ish whenever I'm talking to this girl. And we just get to talking, and she's like telling me a little bit about it, like the name Sean. She's picking up the name Sean, and he's 2 years older than me. And I go get a yearbook and flip it open, and lo and behold, there's this old Valentine's Day card that I have, and I open it up, and it's right there, and where it's marking it on the edge is Sean Bates. And I was like, no freaking way. Like a Sean Bates. He's 2 years older than me. So jump down further a couple years down the road, I meet up with some other friends of mine, and we get to talking. And Sean Bates would have been in his 30s the year that he passed away. And he had a nephew, Sean Bates, which is the one that I would have went to school with. And during the session with the girl in 2015, he's like, close your eyes and visualize and see if he shows you anything. Like, ask him a question. So I asked him like where he died at or where he lived at. And I envisioned, like, you know, the fancy 3 wooden fence like horses would be behind at a ranch or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I envisioned. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So any type of fence I would run into, I would think, oh, is that the fence maybe? Well, these people that I was talking to, like 2019-ish, it was her cousin. And she told me, she said, well, he died on a motorcycle, and he died at a fence that is like that.
Oh my gosh.
So, and this
Wow.
this is like in 2000 when I moved into the house, and, you know, just thinking of it all the way from then to 2019, I found all of that out, and it coincide with each other. So that's the short version of that story. And another one I have is there was this 2-headed black blob, misty looking thing at the end of my driveway. And I acted like I don't see this thing. It's not time out. Maybe my eyes were just playing tricks. But on my way back inside the house, I had to go grab something out of the truck. I was just like, the thing's still there. But I just kept on going, like, I'm not seeing this. I'm not seeing this. And then as soon as I walked to the porch, I just felt like I walked through this spider web. And I was like, wiping myself off, like, oh God. So when I walked in, I asked my boyfriend, I was like, do you see any spiders or spider webs on me? He's like, no. He's like, nothing. So I was like, okay. He's like, well, I'm going to go take a shower. He comes running back out a few minutes later, going, your ghosts are effing with me. He's like, I'm not going back in the shower. And I joked because whenever he was going in there, he always talks about, you're just crazy. You're just seeing stuff. It's not real. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, guys, go mess with them a little bit. And then he came running out, and I was like, no way. Like, okay, okay. I'm not going to say anything because what if maybe he's just messing with me, but he wouldn't go back in there for a while. He's like, I'm not going back in there. He's like, they're messing with me. So I was
So
like,
you
okay.
so you had asked the spirits to go mess with them, so
Yeah.
that way he knows
Yeah.
that.
And he never would say like what they did or if they pulled the car or like, I don't know. He just came running out butt naked, like, I'm not going back in there. Like, no.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've had experiences, and I worked at a hotel. One of the most recent things, well, kind of recent. There was a fellow that died. He worked third shift. He had a heart attack. I'd never met him. He had passed away a few years before I started working there. So these two other ladies were talking about like Randy. His name was Randy, and I was kind of zoned out, and this picture of this guy just kind of formed in my head. So I'm just like, like that's odd. And then there's a guy, Jeff, that I worked with. He did know him. So I was like, hey Jeff. I was like, what did Randy look like by chance? And he's like, well, he's a bigger. I said, is he bigger? Got a beard? Possibly wears glasses, like just a big jolly looking guy, like maybe in his 40s or so. And he's like, well, you perfectly described him. He's like, your gifts are picking up. And I was like, something's picking up. I don't know. I was just like, it's odd. So then I got to where I would go check the rooms at night before the next shift would come in. And I would just be talking to Randy. I was like, man, I'm sorry that, you had a heart attack and everything. I was like, I hope you're all right. I was like, if you're still here, give me a sign. And I really didn't hear anything or see anything, but I got to this one room, and then I felt like I stepped in a hole, kind of like I was electrical shock falling down for a split second. And I was like, what in the world was that? So every so many rooms, I thought, okay, maybe it's because I'm upstairs, maybe, off balance or, something up here. It was doing it in the bottom. So I was like, okay, that was the first time I ever experienced the electrical shock to it.
Right. Okay.
And that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a electrical shock, but I'm like falling all at the same time, just real quick. Well,
So you're kind of thrown off balance, like.
yeah, like I don't know if I walked through somebody or they passed through me, or maybe it's just because there's a lot of energy there. I'm not really sure. I don't know. But I went to a cemetery closer to my house and found out that a Revolutionary War guy named John Gamble come from Virginia down to teach the Cherokee Indians like English language, just teach them stuff. So they had a house. There was a school, a church, and a house, and it had burnt down, and they had this small cemetery. Well, I was going around one of the tombstones, and it was one of the older ones that was there. And I told my friend that was with me, I said, I just got that electrical shock thing again. Well, on my phone, I didn't ever see anything. I had it recording, but once I went back to review it, the moment I said, I just got an electrical shock go through my body, like my whole screen just, a white line just goes across it. So I was like, that's kind of weird that it did it right at the same time. I don't know what that is exactly, but and then I worked with another lady who she her she had went to prison and her daughter had went to prison, and she got out like a month or so before her daughter. And I didn't want to be like rude and be like, well, what happened to her? Like I'm assuming she was hung or something like that, but I didn't want to ask. So I went online to search her name and I couldn't ever find it. So I closed my eyes and I was like, think. I'm like, how do you spell your name? So when my eyes closed, and I can't even remember the girl's name now, but it was like she was writing it out in cursive. So as soon as I opened my eyes, I typed it in, and that was the first thing that popped up was about her death in prison. And I was like, no way, that's kind of freaky.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
got
you,
goosebumps when you were
yeah,
talking about
I
all
was
this.
gonna say I've got like, damn. So you have gifts.
I do. I don't know how to control them. I don't even know. I mean, I have had a few life and death experiences. I was in a bad wreck when I was 14, and my best friend got killed. And then just last year, I actually wound up having a stroke due to a blood vein pop in my brain.
Oh wow, I'm
So,
sorry for
hey, I'm still here. I'm
that. So
still here.
that's
Like
awesome. So
you look so
like,
young too to be having like a stroke like that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
It is. Whenever I had my last child, I developed high blood pressure with him, and I've kept it ever since. And it's almost like my body gets immune to the medicine after I take it so long, and they have to change it to something else.
Mhm.
okay. So after like your traumatic events, that's when all of the gifts kind of started.
I think so. Like, I mean, well, honestly, now if I think about it, the day that we had the wreck in '99 when my friend got killed, I had a bad feeling that something was going to happen. I didn't know what. I mean, I kind of chalked it off to, me and my friend had gotten into an argument day, and it was just, the bull crap between me and her, that type of stuff. So I just kind of chalked it off to that. But I've noticed, okay, the wreck happened a few hours later with, all that happening. And then I've had other instances where I had a bad feeling. I didn't know what was going to happen, and then something happened. So I was
Yep.
able to catch it on one of them because my friend's aunt called and she's like, "Have you seen so and so?" And I was like, no, but I heard where they were at, so you might want to go check over at your nephew's house or whatever." And like, I would say within an hour, we got the phone call that, well, somebody went to jail. So
Yeah.
I was
So
just
you
like,
have like these almost like your gut feeling, but it's more than that because you almost can kind of like tell like you just have these feelings. But I think that if you listen to them more and more, and then you react to what you're feeling, and then I think that you can realize like, holy shit, I just stopped something from happening because I reacted to my gut feeling. I'm
yeah,
not sure if that's a natural instinct or what it is. I don't know.
We
Uh,
have so much in common, Holly, because everything that you've mentioned, the feelings that you've got and stuff, I have had
yeah.
things happen to me too. So we definitely need to talk more.
Yeah, at least
yeah,
I'm not alone because the whole electrical shock thing threw me off. Like, I was seriously like looking at medical MD online, like, what in the world's going on with me? Like, is something wrong?
So for
And
me,
right.
it's not electrical shock, but it's the off balance, like the equilibrium's off. Like
yeah,
you can shift in that exact spot.
it's almost kind of like there's a dip in the floor and it throws you off. Yeah,
Yep.
yes,
Okay, so it's not like vertigo type feeling, like where you're like rocking back and forth or anything
no.
like.
It's just
Okay,
like you're off balance for a second because you kind of like step in a hole and you're trying to
yeah,
catch yourself. But I do have that electrical shock kind of like at the same time with all that.
Okay, okay.
So what
So
would you say is your most like intense ghostly encounter that you have had?
I would say, well, there was a night that I was walking through my house and I had it completely dark and I was on my way to the bathroom, I believe. And I go out my bedroom door, and right as I go out my bedroom door, the front door would be like right here, and my bedroom door's here. Well, I walked into the living room, and then I just turned and go to the kitchen. It's like it's an old country house, so it's only got like 5 rooms to it. So I'm walking through the living room, and it catches my eye. There's this black thing standing there. And I don't know if it's like with its arms folded or if it's kind of like the Indians would do when they're doing the howl thing.
oh
But
yeah.
I just walked on through and I was like, I did not just see that. Like, I literally was right there at it when I walked by. And I was like, so I'm getting my nerves to get up to go back through. And I'm looking like as soon as I walked through, and I was like, okay, whew, thank God. It's not right there, but then as soon as I get to turn to go to my bedroom door, I look up and it's like standing right there at the front door. So it's facing me again, and I'm like, oh my God, no. I just
What kind
run in my bedroom door and shut it. And I'm like that's gonna keep it out. But I mean,
Somebody would do.
what kind of vibes were you picking up off of that?
it wasn't really ominous. I just think it's more that way because it was like right there at my face, like because I literally had to walk right by it. It I don't know. I mean, I didn't get any ominous or nothing really. It was just like, it kind of felt like more like it was an Indian, kind of like just staring at me, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to be up right now. It's your bedtime or something.
Mhm.
But
Or do you feel like it was maybe guarding the property if it was a Native
it,
American spirit that you
it
saw?
could. It could because where I grew up is literally on the Trail of Tears.
Okay. Oh
So,
wow, for
yeah.
sure.
So real quick, what is the Trail of Tears?
The Trail of Tears is where they took the Native Americans, like the Cherokee. Cherokees mainly down in Georgia where I was living, and they made them move out west, where they made all the so all these Indian tribes joined together on this trail, and they made their way out west to like Oklahoma,
Okay.
and so many of them passed away on the way out there. That's why they call it the Trail of Tears.
Okay,
A lot
gotcha.
of lives are lost.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, we found arrowheads and all sorts of stuff. Now, I do have a story if you do like UFO type stuff.
Yeah, we can we can
So
do that. You got a UFO story? Tell it.
I do. I came back from Wisconsin about 2 years ago, and I went over to my parents' old place that they no longer live there, but it's still owned by my family. So I just wanted to go out there and just have some time to myself, and it's like pitch black. I mean, woods are surrounding like at least 49 acres. So it's out there.
Okay, yeah.
And like in the middle or like in between the trees, I see these dots just kind of like, they look like they're jumping.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I'm like, what in the world is that? So I started to get a little freaked out after I saw a few of them. And I started getting the creepy vibes like, I'm rolling my windows up now. I'm just going to go back towards the end of the driveway and sit there. Well, while I was sitting at the end of the driveway, I noticed more of them behind the tree lines. So I have a pretty good view of the sky, and it starts making a triangle formation up in the sky. And I was like, no way. And I did have a friend with me, so I'm not the only person that actually saw it, but we're just kind of like, what is this thing? Well, then it looks like a shooting star or a falling star. It's just like, and then it stops and it shoots straight up in the sky. And I
wow.
was like, did I just see that? I was like, did you just see that? And he's like, yeah, I just saw that. And I was like, no way. Like, that's crazy.
like shape shifting alien spacecrafts.
It's like, yeah, I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, I've seen the lights kind of jumping before, but I never really paid much attention as far as like, if they formed in the sky. But you could see like a perfect triangle forming, like individual lights, like they were all going back up to this formation, and then like one of the front ones looked like it was just falling out of the sky, and it like made a check mark, like, whoo, and I was like, wow. Like, I wish I could have got that on video. That would have been an amazing thing. But that was just one of them out of like, I can't even get my phone picked up to record type deals. Like, what?
Yeah, on my next, I'm gonna have a little series coming this fall and wintertime, and it's gonna be called Close Encounters. I'm gonna kind of have it kind of feed off of this what I'm doing this summer with ghostly encounters, and so I wouldn't mind having you back on
No,
and
yeah.
telling the story again. And if you know anybody else, like if you can reach out to your friend that saw it too, that'd be cool, and have them on as well. Because I'm
Well,
trying.
he's not as one of them, predictable. I mean,
Oh,
I can't
he's
really.
skeptic-ish, like skeptic.
Yeah, like I don't know if he's hard to get a hold of, and sometimes he gets out there. I think now I don't really hang out with him too much. I mean,
Right,
well, like I say, I moved up here, so
right, for sure.
but but
Yeah.
being my kids actually saw two of my kids, my youngest son and my daughter. And this was a few years ago too. We were sitting in the front yard because my daughter, she used to come over and get off of work, and we'd sit outside and talk till like 3 o'clock in the morning. She's like, I gotta go. I'm supposed to be back at the other house. Like, I'm like, that's fine. But we all saw kind of a similar thing, except for we saw it off at a distance, and it was behind trees, but it didn't form. Well, it might have had a formation, but my son was like, Mom, did you just see that? He's like, it just shot straight up in the sky. And I was like, I saw that too. He's like, that had to be an alien, Mom. I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, I highly believe that we are not the only people in this universe, and there's some strange things if you look up and you just
like I say, I know it might be crazy. I believe in everything. I mean, I believe in fairies, goblins, trolls. I mean, you never can tell what's out there nowadays.
mythological creatures, Bigfoot. I mean, I believe in Bigfoot.
Well,
And
that's another thing. Whenever I was a child, I was crying. I had to be like 3 or about 4, maybe 5. But the house that I grew up in was a really old house. Like they had to just fix rooms for us kids to grow up in because there were 6 of us, and most of them had already, they're already out of the house. So I have 2 brothers that were still in the house at the time, and my youngest brother's 10 years older than me, and then the next one had been 12 years older. So I thought, I'm in there pitching a fit, being a little crybaby, and they're just trying to get me to stop crying. And at my brother's window, because I was laying on the bunk beds in his bed, and he had it covered up with a blanket or something, but something pounded on that window, and there is no way to get from that bed to the living room. There's no way possible my brothers could have got inside of that house. And so I said something to my mom about it, and she was like, "Oh well, whenever I was a kid, I was pitching a fit, and there was this thing that come up to the window, and I wish I would have asked her, and there's no way I can anymore, but I wish I would have asked her what she saw, because when we left, maybe about 10 to 15 minutes later, I looked up in the tree lines, and it's Octoberish, or it was fall time because everything was dead out. I saw this big, tall, black thing in the wood line. And of course, I didn't say anything. I mean, I figured, my parent, like, I don't know. I was just kind of like staring at it, like, what is that thing? It looked like it kind of had red eyes. I don't know if it did. It could have been my imagination as a kid, but I know this thing was tall. And it was, I mean, it was pretty far away. So, and it had to be like probably 8 foot tall.
It almost sounds like a Slender Man. A Slender Man.
That, or I thought Mothman, and I was like, "Is Mothman?" I know it's up here in West Virginia,
Yeah, yeah. But
but
my dad,
that,
similar story. My dad, when he was a kid, he'd always tell me the story that they would hide in the closet in their bedroom, hide from their mom and dad, whatever. And anyways, I think they were all hiding up in the closet one day, and my dad said that him and my aunt seen like these two big feet, like big hairy feet, and like outside of their closet, you can there's like that little gap on the bottom of like the door, like the closet
yeah,
doors, and there was allegedly like Bigfoot sightings here in the Quad Cities, 50 years ago or better. And so they thought that they saw a Bigfoot in their house, and they're kids, but they'll never forget the story. They'll never forget, that experience, but
yeah.
you never know.
Hey,
I believe Bigfoot, but
that I believe in Bigfoot. I do. I have I mean, unless that was a Bigfoot type thing in the wood. I mean, I've never really seen one, but I've heard stuff in the woods whenever I've been in the woods, and it's just like, what's that? I don't
yeah,
see anything.
I'd like to
So,
go.
Alicia, what's one of your stories?
Um, most of mine were on paranormal investigations. I mean, when I was a kid, though, like a preteen, we lived down the street from where we bought a house now, and that's kind of where I kind of had my first experience. So my neighbor friend told me that this old man had died in the house that we were renting. And I always got these weird vibes down in the basement. There was like this old built-in bar downstairs, and I was always running up those stairs as fast as I could. But she came over, my neighbor friend, and me and my sister were down in the basement, and we're like, okay, because I started watching Ghost Hunters. My dad started playing that on TV when they were taps at the time. And yeah, so I was like, if there's someone here, can you move something for us? So then there was the lids to the tubs, the storage tubs, and all of a sudden it goes shh, and it slides off, and we all scream and we run upstairs.
That's funny.
That would be creepy. That would be.
Yeah,
Yeah. When me and Alicia first started hanging out, I think at the time we were friends. I went up to the apartment that she was living in, and this was long ago. And anyway, we were hanging out upstairs, and Lila, our oldest, was probably no more than 3, and I don't even think Stella was born yet, my
no,
youngest. And anyhow, so we're just hanging out, and I heard a door open, and then I heard a door close, and Lila was crying, and all of a sudden she stops crying, and you hear a woman go, "It'll be okay, come with me," or something like that. A
Oh,
woman's voice, straight
that
up.
gave me coach chills.
And me and her both heard it, right?
we were
And it was
we
clear
were
as day. Like, it
Oh
was
wow.
unbelievable, because I was like, wait, the door opened and closed, and then we heard this woman's voice, and then Lila stopped crying all at the same time within a matter of 45 seconds. And so I followed
Wow.
downstairs because
yeah,
I
we
was
both
like,
looked at each other and we're like, did you hear that? And
and so
so we booked it down the stairs to try and find out where this person was at and what was going on with Lila. We even called my friend up because she was staying with me at the time. And I was like, were you just here? She was like, no. I was like, oh my God, we just heard a woman talking to Lila, and the front door open and shut.
and the
Oh
door was
wow.
locked. And the
That's
door was locked.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was. And then a couple other things, besides, paranormal researching, stuff that's happened at home. And
Shadow and the
yeah,
house that we were renting before here.
Yeah, I saw a shadow figure and I freaked out and tried to wake up Alicia. She's, yeah, she
Well,
didn't want.
it does kind of catch you off guard when you're not trying, like, we go out and do investigations.
Yeah,
We're trying to find something then, but whenever you see something and you're not expecting it, that's whenever you're like, what the?
yes, it almost happens like that every time. It's so funny. It's like when you're not, like you said, when you're not anticipating on something to happen is when it happens, and then when you
Yeah,
anticipate it to happen, it don't happen. It's
yeah.
just I think
It's
spirits
freaky.
are a lot smarter than what we think. It's funny, but
Yeah, because you're always like, oh, I mean, people go ghost hunting and you're going there to find something. Why do you run away whenever you do find it? I mean, I
Yeah.
do. I've been there before. Like, I'm like, let's just go. Like, what?
yeah, me too.
Oh, you gotta check out the video, the short video. We did a little short clip from when Derek got scared the crap out of him and he took off running.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be we'll message you that one on
All
next.
right, yeah.
But anyway, so it's getting towards the end of our time here. So I just wanted to wrap up everything and tell you that we appreciate you coming on and sharing all of your stories. I've had a good time.
Oh,
So
I've had an awesome time. And if you guys want, like, check out our group. I'm trying to get everything up and running. It's Ethereal Investigations, and we do in West Virginia, we do the down or the dark historical folklore tours, and then we have the haunted stuff that we're working on too. So,
okay, do you have a link for any of those pages or anything yet? Or
um, I have one for the old one, and I'm not sure if she's wanting me to redo a new Facebook. But as soon as I get those, I will share them with you guys.
yeah,
And
share them so that
also,
we can get them
if
out.
if ever, I mean, I've talked to her about doing a like us going to Waverly or something.
We
Just
really hope. Sorry.
Yeah, we can get a massive group to go out there. It'll be fun.
Yeah, because Ricky and Amy, the two girls that I work with, Rachel too, they brought up going to, traveling somewhere, but it's usually better if you have 10 or more people. So if you guys are up for it, hey,
Yeah,
say let's
let's make
go,
it happen.
let's make something happen and let's go check it out. I guess
Yeah, I've
maybe
got some
next
guys.
year.
Yeah, yeah, I'm telling you, I've got some guys that I can round up too. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm working on building up more paranormal equipment. So
that's awesome. Well, heck yeah. So yeah, like I said, everybody, this is Holly, and this is her ghostly encounters. So until next time, we will see you guys later.
bye, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, y'all.
Okay, so you there?
I'm here.
Okay. I can always edit the ending. End recording, silly.